Hello there everyone. How are we all? I'm very well, I thank you for asking. Apologies for the slight lateness in the starting of tonight's proceedings. You won't believe this, right? I know, just stick with me on this one. This one will blow your mind. I had technical problems. I know, I was shocked too. So yeah, that delayed things somewhat. The OBS decided to be, I think the technical term is a massive prick. Which was, you know, not as well appreciated by myself as maybe some others would have dealt with it. But either way, I'm here now. How are we all? And you can, if you wanted to, help me out with money. It won't make me any better at this. I assure you that. That is the one guarantee I give you. You got a crochet shadow already. You got a crochet shadow already. What the fuck does that mean, Phantom of Black? A crochet shadow? What the fuck is a crochet shadow? That's not like something you'd find on fucking Urban Dictionary, is it? I certainly hope not. I don't know what the fuck it is. In terms of the meme, Yanks will not get the meme. Yanks will not get what this meme is. Should I explain it for them or just leave it? Leave it as a mystery. That they don't understand quite how appalling that image actually is in context. I don't know. I'll leave it up to the Britbongers in chat. What do you reckon? Should we leave them in like perpetual blissful ignorance of what this is, or should I tell them? I'll leave it up to you. Anyway, you can do bits messages. You can subscribe to the channel. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime. You can give subs to the community. You can do super chats via the Streamlabs link below. You can become you can join the Discord. We've got Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, PayPal, Threads, Instagram, etc., etc. Myra and Yang Skiddy. Well, I mean, Wayward Historian, to be fair, you are more clued into British culture than I think most Yankoids would be. Like, because you watch me every night. So, like, you're... Like, I think I even explained that this image already existed to you and what that means. I don't think you are representative of the Yankoid species. I think you're a species. I don't quite know how it works, but yeah. I don't think that's you're, like I say, you're very representative. Fuck it, I'll just explain it to people. Right, the people on screen have been face apped, or like what you call it? Blah, blah, blah. Why can't I fucking think of the piece of software I'm thinking of? Anyway, they've been photoshopped is the fucking thing I'm trying to find. Why couldn't I think of Photoshop? Anyway, they've been photoshopped so that the person on the left is Keir Starmer and the person on the right is Rachel Reeves. Keir Starmer is the Prime Minister, Rachel Reeves is the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the Finance Minister, as it were. Although they never refer to in that way because that's weird. Anyway, they have been photoshopped onto a very famous, or should I say infamous, image. A pairing of two mugshots of two criminals who were arrested in the 1960s. That being Myra Hindley and Ian... Oh, what's his surname? Because I don't think they had the same surname, did they? I've totally lost the plot. Anyway, they were the Moors murderers. They killed loads of kids and buried their bodies on the Yorkshire moors. Yeah. Still kill fewer kids than Israel, as pointed out in chat, though. So, you know. Literally worse than Myra Hindley. Ian Brady was his name. Ian Brady and Myra Hindley. Who were, I mean, genuinely appalling human beings. So to compare these two to them tells you how much I feel very strongly about him.
Oh.
Hello there.
Hello, Kevin. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I was just explaining about the Moors murders to the Americans.
Interesting.
Because I've got the photoshopped image of Reeves and Starmer as Hindley and Brady as my opening meme. So just a casual. Like, why wouldn't Coca-Cola want to advertise on this channel? It's a mystery to me.
I know, right? It's a Rachel Fries and Kid Starver.
Yeah, he's probably going to end up killing more kids than Brady and Hindley did.
I mean, it's basically the same. This is the same utilitarian calculus with regards to Luigi Mangione and Brian Thompson. You know.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Well, there you go. There you go. I was slightly lower brow on my end.
Okay,
I wasn't Moore's Murders posting. We were watching old Big Brother. We were watching Danielle Lloyd and Jay Goody being racist to Sean Pachetti.
Oh, even more repugnant. Than child murder. Yes.
Although we were pointing out specifically the fact that Jay Goody, she said something that things were kind of semi-racist, but the most racist thing was actually said by Danielle Lloyd, who said, "I think she should fuck off home," which is obviously incredibly racist. And she didn't get anything from the media for being the most racist out of the three of them, as well as what Joe O'Meara from S Club 7 putting on a fake Indian accent and saying, "I've got a big hairy face." Like, those two are way more racist than Jay Goody.
I don't remember that. The only thing I remember of old school Big Brother is the woman who wanked herself off with the wine bottle.
Oh, Kinga.
I forget who the fuck the names blur into one.
It was the same season where Kinga penetrated herself with a wine bottle in the pool, and also was it Makosi and Anthony? I think were the two names of them. I think they had sex in the same pool on the same series.
Oh, look!
It was wild. It was a wild series.
Yeah.
Wild series. Didn't Makosi get deported or some shit? I had a crush on her when I was watching it.
Fucked in a pool, got deported. Love it.
Yeah.
Right, well, there you go.
She was scary sexy. I agree, Solly. She was. Because she was so full on.
See, no, it's
I
it's
enjoyed
starting to
that.
feel less and less ironic now. It's starting to feel like you're just a fan of that show, and I'm gonna have to distance myself from this level of absolute fucking filth.
I watched I religiously watched Big Brother in like the early years. Yeah,
See, this is why you end up voting Liberal Democrat.
it'll be true,
Your
exactly,
mind was
100%,
broken.
100%.
Although you are a good example of salvation, so that's nice, I guess.
There you go, true. You can always come back.
Exactly, restorative justice and all that bollocks. Yeah, let's go.
True.
So,
Actually, yeah, that's when Russell Brand was literally getting with SA behind the scenes,
uh,
or
well, yeah, exactly.
allegedly getting away with SA behind the scenes.
And he was doing the old, not After Dark, what was it called? The weird show afterwards. Anyway, he was doing that.
Big Brothers. There was Big Brother's Big Mouth, and there was what Big Brother's Little Brother.
I think it was that one, wasn't it? Yeah. We were going about how he did the heroin, and all that shit. Yeah, it was, grim times. Grim times for British culture, grim times for
And it was just fine. It
anyone
was
who
just
knew
like
him.
like we think that the UK has never had didn't have any social problems. Misogyny was just like 100% of programming at that point in time.
Oh god, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Like Russell Brand and Jimmy Savile were still alive, just doing the thing, That was normal, perfectly normal. Anyway,
It was, and yeah, I'm just employed by the BBC.
yeah, but thankfully they don't have any problems with sexual abusers anymore. It's just totally normal. They've really cleaned up their act and are totally beyond reproach now, which is nice.
No, there are no issues of sexual proprietary going on at the BBC
No.
whatsoever, or Channel 4. Neither of them.
no.
Absolutely spotless record.
Well, it's because they stopped employing middle-class women of a certain age.
True.
Which
I mean,
is still nice.
literally, speaking of middle class women of a certain age, I remember when I was when I was like a teenager, I refused. I boycotted Strictly Come Dancing. Yeah, this is the kind of opinions I had as a kid.
Right.
Because they got rid of Arlene Phillips as a judge, and I was convinced that the only reason they got rid of her was because she was both old and a woman. Because all the old men stuck around, they didn't get fired, and all of the young women were absolutely fine. You just had to be old and a woman. There's only categories that you weren't allowed to be.
Didn't they literally?
Of course.
Didn't they literally give electroshock therapy to animate the corpse of Brucey before every show for the last few series that he was around?
Oh my god!
They fucking
I know,
Weekend
right?
at Bernie that motherfucker for like the last couple of series, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I won't tell you my mother's very politically incorrect way she describes Claudia Winkleman as well. Anyway, she well, let's say she describes her as a educationally challenged sister of whoever the blonde woman is. I don't fucking know. I don't watch this shit.
Test Daily.
Tess Daly, yeah.
Is it still Test Daily? I have no idea because my boycott started in the 2000s and has never finished. I never stopped.
Oh,
I
okay.
just haven't
Well,
watched it. I just never. Yeah.
Oh well, in my mum's headcanon is that they're sisters, and that their mum makes her take the simple sister on the show. Well, go on, Tess, take her with you. Go on. You gotta be nice. You gotta look after her after I'm gone. Look, my mum's fucking mental. She crocheted me a fucking Sonic the Hedgehog because my brother claimed I like Sonic the Hedgehog and I don't. Like, what can I say? Anyway, on that bombshell, from the Moors murders to the rather less highbrow Strictly Come Dancing. Yes. Did we have content for this first hour lined up, or are we just going to chit chat? I don't mind either way, honestly.
There was one video that I wanted to watch, which is Matthew Pennycook talking about housing on Good Morning Britain. I've not seen it, but they had a big housing brief today. They were talking about their plans for housing, and apparently they're going to build 375,000 council houses, which is way more than I was expecting. So that's why I wanted to watch.
Okay.
And there was also the head of the IFS was on one of the fucking Gary Lineker podcast industrial complex things with Robert Peston talking about Labour knowing they were having to raise taxes. I thought we might be able to get some good clips out of that. Don't know how boring it's going to be to have to watch it all the way through and a thing, but
Okay, well, either you can operate that or you can send me the links and I will. I don't
Yeah,
know.
if you go to the Good Morning Britain YouTube channel, it should be the first one. I'll search it out.
Hang on. Well, let's have a look. Talking of Good Morning Britain, we're going to see one of their former hosts on the panel tonight. The one that stormed off because he was challenged.
Oh, didn't he storm off because someone took the piss out of him for being rebuked by Meghan Markle?
Something like that, yeah. Because Meghan Markle didn't want to fuck him. How in the fuck is Madeley still getting work?
I know, right? It's crazy, isn't it?
Richard Madeley is such a weird fucking guy. Again, I do have to mention it every time he's on, but his 8-minute long monologue about sexual assault to Bill Clinton is still one of my favourite clips ever. He's a fucking mad bastard.
Also, there was but again, we mentioned it last time. There was Richard Madeley, but I have to mention it again because it still fucking does my nut in. When he interviewed the fucking Prime Minister of Guyana for some reason.
Naturally.
But why? Like, I honestly, what did the Prime Minister of Guyana do to be subjected to that?
Well, presumably it's a small enough country where they don't feel like they have to give them, like, you know, the full treatment. So they just went, have we got, like, a Z-list interviewer that we can give him? Yeah, Madeley's around. Go on, then. Like, just throw him any old prick, basically. I think is the gist of that. Anyway, councils forced to build 370,000 homes to fix England's housing crisis. Why is it just England's housing crisis, by the way?
I guess because the money for building council homes in England, in Scotland and Wales would be devolved.
Ah, okay. Fair enough.
Stop it. Get some help.
Thank you, Tara the Cat, for subscribing. Indeed, resubscribing with Prime 20 months. That is far too long. Seek help. And don't forget you can give both of us money in the various ways that you already know. You already know.
True. So you can give us money.
And I can also unmute the... Honestly, I'm having a banger tonight. I started 10 minutes late because I couldn't get OBS to work, and now I can't even fucking play a video unmuted. God almighty. Don't bother giving me money. I don't deserve it. Give it all to No Justice. Fact.
I mean, I'm not going to say no to money if you're going to give me money, but you should also give money to Kevin as well. Kevin needs the money more than I do.
Well, it doesn't matter, though. I don't deserve it. I deserve to be spat on for being a dirty slut. Fact.
But I thought people are supposed to pay good money for that, right?
True. The Kev only fans arc. Let's go.
So one of the thorniest problems faced by the last government, faced by this government, is Britain's housing crisis. Now we hear this morning that councils are going to be forced by law to play a much bigger role in fixing England's housing crisis. By meeting a mandatory target, they'll have to build 370,000, that's 370,000, new homes every year.
Well, this comes...
every year? What? Well, for the entirety of this parliament, presumably, right?
I mean...
So that would be 1.5 million?
Get some help.
I'm assuming then, yeah, the 1.5, that's the total of the 1.5 million that they promised at the election.
Well, that's true, but they never said 1.5 million council homes, did they?
Well, I'm assuming that, but by that, what they mean is specifically the councils must arrange that housing gets built, i.e. put through, they acknowledge, or what's the word, they acquiesce? I can't think what the word I'm saying. They should allow, I'm just going to say allow because it's easier. They should allow private developers to build this much. They have to give permission.
Right.
For planning permission for these things.
Indeed. Yes, thank you Phantom of Black for resubscribing. Thank you Tassamate for resubscribing. 39 months. Far too long. I'm on a hype train. A very undeserved hype train. Clearly, I've just got an audience of fucking perverts. It's the only answer. Because I did a joke about being like a sexual degenerate, and now they're throwing money at me.
Reuters donated $5.
So,
oh, the Kevy Weavy wants a spanky wanky on his tushy.
That
oink,
is...
oink. Bear the buttocks, lad. Here comes daddy. Despunker 5.
Apologies, I just had a voiceover of... I mean, honestly, just hardcore pornography is what that was. Look, I'm not even going to pretend that was anything other than that, Lord Free Twos. You fucking... I mean, he's French, so obviously he's a pervert. but like even by French standards.
Who's the Jade Goody now?
They are. The French are absolute degenerates. Awesome degenerates that burn the street down if you take away one of their 7 like lunch breaks or whatever. But that's not the point, okay? They're all fucking everyone and everything.
And
Fact.
the words of Austin Powers' dad are, there's only 2 things I hate in this world: people who are intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch.
True. Well, to be fair, I am intolerant of the Dutch language. We've been through this. But
We have a serious problem.
True. A very unserious country. We do a thing on our channel occasionally called Jizz Watch, which is not as sexual as it sounds. There is a Dutch footballer called Jizz Hoornkamp. That's not even a joke.
You're shitting me.
That is not a joke. He plays for, I think, was it Vitesse Arnhem or someone? Anyway, he was injured most of last season, so I couldn't do Jizz Watch very regularly. He's not very good. But the reason I learned about him is that Nottingham Forest were at one point looking to sign him. They didn't in the end. And then it sent me down this rabbit hole of things. Apparently, Jizz is a name in the Netherlands.
Well, there you go.
It's not a nickname, and it's not spelled differently. His name is Jizz Hoornkamp.
It is funny, right, to follow around bad football players. I think that's not even a bad football player I was thinking of in my mind, but somebody who's funny. Like, there was a time when, I remember this was at university, where we obsessively followed the football career of Lloyd Doyley, for the very specific reason.
There's an old name. Love it.
That he was the person who had as many who had the most Premier League caps ever without scoring a goal.
Oh, really?
He'd been at Watford FC for 10 years and had never scored a goal.
To be fair, he was a defender, right? So, like...
Well, exactly. He was a fullback, but he did end up scoring 2 over the course of his 14-year-long career at Watford or something like that. He'd been there for an incredibly long time. But, fair play to the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, and what sparked my my obsession with the Dutch language was the famous image from the end of the Second World War of American soldiers reading a Dutch newspaper with the phrase "Hitler dude, what new?" Very, very. I don't need to translate that for you. Like it just not a serious nation. Like you're doing like internet cat speak as a language. Ooh, Hitler dude. What now? Smiley face. Like, what is this? You're doing lolcat speak as a language. Ridiculous.
Also, what was another thing I was going to... Speaking of Forest, did you see they beat Man United 3-1?
Yeah. Very bad times for Manchester football right now. I love it.
As someone who, I think what's funny is that I'm someone who I lived in Manchester for 7 years. I love Manchester. I still love Manchester. I miss Manchester a lot. I hated both the football teams.
They're all insufferable. I mean, to be fair,
yeah.
I don't know if they're around tonight, but As Friends Rust is literally regular in my chat and works for Manchester City Football Club.
Yeah, I remember you saying, yeah.
And regularly will be like, will send me images.
When will you do true crime stuff again?
Their fucking their office. They work in the tours of the stadium sort of side of things, but they get really incredible behind the scenes stuff. And he'll literally show me a picture of his office, and he'll just be like, "Oh, there's the Champions League trophy," just in his fucking office and shit. He's got fucking He's got Premier League winners' medals. They give them to all the staff as well, right?
Yeah.
He's got Premier League winners' medals. What the fuck is this? What is this nonsense? Amazing. So I'm not at all jealous. Don't even tell him that I'm mad. Do not print in the newspaper that I was mad. I'm not. Anyway. So yeah, but it's bad. Actually, on that, I genuinely didn't even think we were going to do Manchester City-related bants tonight. But I did see this meme, and it did make me laugh. So they've been having a bad time lately. Lots of losses and draws and such, and not many wins. So the BBC produced this graphic of that series of results. And then the No Context Brit account just said, "Isn't that a town in Wales?" Yes.
Oh, that's excellent. That's
Bravo.
very, very, very good.
Bravo.
Although, to be fair, as somebody who lived in Manchester and was a supporter of FC United of Manchester, probably not doing as well in comparison.
You fucking hipster. You didn't even go with Salford FC.
So yes, I mean, despite the fact I actually lived in Salford for not the majority, but a large amount of my time living in Manchester, it was always shit living in Salford. I didn't really care about it. But I had mates there who were part of the FC United LGBTQ group within the fan group, and it was pretty big. And they always flew their FC United as pro trans banners at the matches. It was quite cute.
Oh, nice. Well, there you go. Well, I suppose for the Americans, FC United of Manchester was set up to counter essentially the selling of the Manchester United and its future to the American family, the Glazers, who own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So there is a connection there. We don't like Americans.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Although Birmingham City have been bought, at least in part, by Tom Brady. He's literally attended several games this season. Mad.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I think as well as is that, despite the fact that the Premier League is the most financially kind of dominant sports league in the world. Like there is no league in the world that has more money in it than the Premier League.
Yep.
It's got this huge amount of working class history in terms of the ownerships of the clubs and how people engage with it, right? And so it was a real betrayal of everything that Premier League football was to Britain as a kind of cultural centerpiece. That it really stung to hear something like the United football team being sold off to an American corporate owner. It really did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a very working class sport. There's literally even up until relatively recent times, players were often from the place. Was it the famous statistic about the Celtic team, the Lisbon Lions, that won the European Cup in the late 60s? And it said that all 11 starters were born within 15 miles of Celtic Park. Mm-hmm. Like, it was literally just working class kids from Glasgow. You know, it was that was a thing that happened. People, the footballers would travel to the game on the bus with the fans. Like, that was just a thing that happened because there wasn't that much money in it until relatively recently, really. Mm-hmm. Until Sky came in and all of that in the kind of 90s. Yeah, and so it's been completely ripped away from them. And I find it deeply dispiriting in a number of ways because I'm a working class socialist guy who loves football. And to see the corporatisation of it all is just fucking grim.
It is also... And it's funny
Look,
trying to tell
if you're tackling salad before the game, get the fuck away from my sport, you cunts. You grim little succubus bastards. Get out.
It is, exactly. And that's the thing is that you try and speak to Americans about this. They go, the Super Bowl is it's the pinnacle of sport. And I'm like, mate, you're like, the IPL has more money spent on it than the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Super Bowl is big in America.
It's just, it's nothing. You know, when it's like the amount of money, because I think the IPL is the third behind the Premier League and something else in terms of the amount of money that gets spent. It's crazy numbers of money poured into the IPL every year.
Well, I'll just say this, right? You think the Super Bowl's big? Over 1 billion people watched the last World Cup final.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like many times the population of the United States.
I mean, it does help for cricket too. There is 1.6 billion people in India.
Yeah, the largest country on earth now. They overtook China, didn't they?
They did just recently, and they have an increasing birth rate that China doesn't have.
Exactly, they're going to be the first to reach 2 billion in not that long from now. So yay! Anyway, let's reminiscing and all of that jazz. Yes. Also, the Yugoslav team were very good, which I assume is of interest to you. I've always felt that, like, I always think to myself how well that team would do if they were still a country now. Because Croatia made it all the way to the final in 2018 on their own. If you throw in the best Serbs and Montenegrins and Slovenians as well, what a fucking team they'd have. Good lord.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Yugoslav domestic teams did really well in European domestic competitions too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hajduk Split were very good.
They were, and Split itself as a town is beautiful. Apparently, according to my brother who toured there last year.
Yeah,
and I think he toured there this year as well. Very, very beautiful town on the coast in Croatia.
Yeah, it's a lovely port town on the Adriatic, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. And do you know the death of Tito was announced during a Hadjic split game, and they stopped mid-match to announce it.
Oh,
There's a very famous picture of all the players lined up crying whilst they play the national anthem, announcing the death of Tito.
Fair play, yeah. Anyway, from Hadjic split to council housing.
There you go.
What a segue. Anyway, yes, they're going to build some houses or something.
Yeah.
Week after the Prime Minister doubled down.
Oh, sorry, I forgot I'd switched over, yes.
Oh, not on his target of delivering 1.5 million new homes over 5 years. Housing Minister Matthew Pennycook.
Croatia Zagreb as well was another one. Sorry, I'm just thinking of fucking Yugoslav European champions and stuff. Anyway, never mind.
Joins us now. Keir Starmer himself concedes that the target is too ambitious, and yet he's doubling down on it. Is it achievable?
Well, we've never been anything other than entirely candid about the fact that it is an incredibly stretching target, but we think it is achievable. But I'd put to you, Kate, what's the alternative? We could have picked a far less stretching target, an easily achievable target. That wouldn't have been commensurate with the scale of the crisis we face in England today. And just to give your viewers some sense of what that means out there, we've got 1.3 million people languishing on social housing waiting lists. We've got a generation locked out of home ownership. And I think most shamefully as a nation, this Christmas we'll have 160,000 homeless children living in temporary accommodation. So it's a stretching target, but we think it's an achievable one, and it's essential to meet the scale of the challenge we face, the scale of that crisis, which is blighting lives and holding back our economy.
Does this mean the death of the NIMBY? Are we going to see the end of NIMBYism because there's no alternative? You simply...
Yes.
Let's go. Not the end of the people. The NIMBYs will end.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to Trebuchet. Firstly, Ray Fiennes, obviously, and then all of his kind. Get in the sea. Just for terms of service reasons, I'm not personally threatening the livelihood and safety of Ray Fiennes.
If you block any housing development immediately onto the trebuchet.
Exactly. Just fucking stop it. We need to build things, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, like it's nice to have a segment for once where we can actually go easy on Labour. And according to Vicky Spratt, who's the housing commentator for The Eye, she's really good at talk about social housing. According to her, Matthew Pennycook is one of the best ministers she's actually had to deal with. So I have more time. This? Vicky Spratt, she's the housing commentator for the Eye paper.
Okay, right, with you.
But also Matthew Pennycook is that he looks like his head is squashed. It looks like they've changed the aspect ratio. And no shade on the guy. Like I'm willing to hear him out, and I think his policy probably end up being pretty good if we build these houses. But he does have a thin face.
He does have a slightly odd face. There's an unsettling uniformity to the width of the skull.
It is, isn't it? It's got real like T-1000 vibes.
You know who it reminds me of? Beaker. It's Beaker from the Muppet.
No, he's got too much chin. He's got too much chin to be a Beaker, I think. He's got a strong chin.
Maybe. But either way, he's got a head like a Muppet.
No, I think actually he's giving me Robert Patrick vibes, especially with him staring down the camera.
A little bit.
You have to plough on with this, and communities that say, no, we don't want a new estate over those fields there, will simply be told, sorry, it's got to happen.
We are saying to local councils across the country, and we consulted on these proposals back in July, we'll introduce to Parliament later the final detail, but we are saying to them that higher housing targets will be mandatory, because the conversation we've got to have, because of the acute and entrenched nature of that housing crisis, is a conversation about how we bring development forward, what it looks like, where it goes, rather than whether it takes place at all. Yes. We can't continue with the status quo. As I said, it's blighting lives. It's costing the country an absolute fortune in a rising housing benefit bill, and it's holding back economic growth. So we've got to do things differently. As I've said, it's an incredibly stretching target.
Of course.
We think it's achievable. Planning reform, which is what we're announcing today, isn't the whole answer, but it's a big part of that comprehensive plan to get Britain building again, to meet that 1.5 million new home milestone.
Nobody wants to hear those statistics you talked about of homeless people, people waiting for homes, people unable to have a home.
Not true. George Osborne, it's the only way he can get off. is imagining the increase in homelessness.
Absolutely, absolutely. And not just homelessness in the abstract, but knowing that people are homeless and there's nowhere for them to turn to for a nice warm bed and some food at all, right?
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
not homeless in temporary accommodation. They are living rough on the street, and there's no, but there's plenty of food banks for them to go to. And according to Jacob Rees-Mogg, that's an excellent thing.
And he's been rewarded with a fucking TV show. Don't you love the British media?
It's great, isn't it?
For their families, for the children, for themselves. Nobody wants that. We all agree on that. I suppose the question of the speed and the scale
I'm sorry,
is...
we don't all agree on that. I'm sorry. Look, I'm doing the joke, obviously, about this, but there's an underlying serious point to it. Conservatives don't agree with that. They will say they agree with that, because obviously if you say, yay, homelessness, you look like a fucking maniac. But fundamentally, how do they not actually believe homelessness is good?
Well, exactly.
They
Or
vote
believe
consistently for people and policies they know will increase homelessness. Ergo, they are at least passively fine with it, if not actively in support of it.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that in the Conservatives' brain, and even in a lot of liberal brains as well, their belief with regards to homelessness is that, well, being homeless is bad, right? We don't think the homelessness is a good thing, but we believe fundamentally that if you are homeless, it's your fault. We can't blame policy, even though we can accurately be able to determine that some policies increase it while some of them decrease it. Because even if a policy does increase it, it's still that person's fault for falling foul of the policy, right? Like, that's the liberal and conservative approach to homelessness is, well, we think that it's bad in the abstract, but if you end up being homeless, you only have yourself to blame. Like, bootstraps shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's fundamentally conservatism, or the brain rot that causes conservatism, hasn't changed in a very, very long time. It's this shit about the deserving and undeserving poor that the Victorians fucking talked about. It's the same fucking shit.
It is, exactly. And again, like when it comes to policy, like, the results are obvious. There is only one country in Europe in which the nominal number of homeless people is falling, and that is Finland. And because they are the one who have the housing first policy. Turns out the actual solution to homelessness was to build houses and to put people in the houses. Revolutionary, I know, but just expecting people just bootstraps their way out of all, not just homelessness itself, but all of the myriad external problems that come from homelessness, like lack of access for being able to get a job because you've got no fixed abode, all of the drug problems that come with that, all of the health problems that you get for being homeless as well, because of lack of nutrition, lack of water, your body kind of dealing with the elements. All these things make it hard if you to get back on your feet again, and it requires state investment to help people. Unfortunately, as much as people want people to help themselves, it is harder to help yourself when you're already at the bottom of the ladder. Plenty of people sitting around in their little, 3-bedroom semi-detached house going, well, it wouldn't happen to me. I would be able to get myself out of it. Well, yeah, of course, you don't think that you'd have a problem pulling yourself up by your bootstraps because you're not the one having to fucking starve every day.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Absolutely. It's especially difficult when you've had now decades of government cutting away any kind of ladder that people might have used to drag themselves out of that situation, should they have been able to.
Exactly. Like, I think you should go to them and say, well, homelessness has massively increased from 2010 until now. It didn't increase as much from 1997 till 2010, but specifically in that period when a certain party were in government. And you're like, oh, well, it's just their fault then. What do you think? They all just decided together, me or the Conservatives are in government, or we just all decide to be homeless and to get rid of our personal responsibility to make the government look bad. Like, what's more likely, that or the Tories make more people homeless? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Where does it go? Because the government, the Labour Party, before it was in government, talked about brownfield and greyfield sites, and we didn't have to destroy green.
The fuck is a greyfield site?
So it's stuff that's on the green belt, technically under the TCPA, that's not actually green. That's what it's a new term, the grey belt that Labour have called, which is essentially a place where you're not allowed to develop because of the Town and Country Planning Act regulations. But it's not actually green. It's not green. It's not nature. It's just fucking empty shit. Or it's old industrial land that's been cleared in a post-industrial world and never been built back on because it's treated as green belt. Like, I hate the term green belt.
It's still brown then.
Yeah, well, because brownfield sites are X clearance that haven't been built on that aren't part of the green belt, if I remember correctly. I think
Right.
that's how that works. That's why everyone says prioritize brownfield sites, and it's true. You should prioritize brownfield sites. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but I think the areas of the green belt under the TCPA that aren't actually green, you should build on those as well. Like, I'm sorry, you can rewild them as well. We should at least do something. We should do something with these things. But I said on Novara yesterday that I want to get rid of the TCPA and have a proper zoning system, so we don't have to get mired in millions of layers of quote, not red tape, because that's a Tory saying, but I basically say meaning red tape over having to have things approved. If you have a zoning system, people know where they can and can't build already. So all of this approval process and local planning consent shit that allows things to get stuck in bureaucracy for ages rather than just getting fucking built, we don't have to deal with that.
Yeah. Thank you, Tassimo, who says, when will you do true crime stuff again? I don't think I've ever done true crime stuff, have I? What? I don't know. And thank you, Sozzle Snake, for gifting sub to the community. As friends Rust, hello there. You missed our Manchester City-based bants from earlier. You can loser. I wasn't saying that. I was just gently jibing. Anyway, like you've had years and years of success now. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. Take your Emirati petrodollar. And by fuck off, I mean stay in chat. We love you, please. I'm sorry.
Yeah, true.
Greenbelt land, and also how that those new houses are supported, that they're not just wastelands, that the infrastructure's there for them.
Absolutely.
So that the communities can function.
Absolutely. So let me take a couple of those points individually, but they're all connected.
I mean, I did cover the Yorkshire Ripper thing, but that was just because there was a fucking fantastic documentary series on it. Like, I suppose if there's other stuff you think is interesting, but the thing is, I didn't just cover that because it was true crime. It was because of the political angle to it. That like, whilst it was just working class women and sex workers that were being attacked, the police and the government didn't care. It was only once a university student got killed.
Whoa. Look, Kevin, you say sex workers, don't you mean people who worked as prostitutes?
Sorry, yes, yeah.
Sorry, that's a reference that people aren't going to get.
Yeah, no, that's a Stuart Lee bit, but yes.
Yeah. So I guess I have to explain that, because there's a whole Stuart Lee bit about how Richard Littlejohn, the fucking cockroach columnist...
Yes.
Yeah, that's his official title, cockroach columnist, said that they shouldn't be described, the people killed as...
Well, this was a different sex worker killer. This was the Ipswich prostitute murderer, as they called him.
Oh, yeah. So the newspapers described them, the victims, as people who worked as prostitutes. And Richard Littlejohn wrote an entire fucking screed about how they should just be called prostitutes rather than people who worked as prostitutes, because that's just what they are. Well, of course, actually, the correct term is sex worker, right? But the politically correct term, the woke term.
But you must remember
that
Richard Littlejohn is literally fucking vermin.
Actual factual vermin, yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, the day when he dies, I will piss, shit, and cum on his grave.
Literally. Technically, Stephen Lawrence was true crime. I did cover Stephen Lawrence as well, but again, there's a very political angle because of police racism. So I'm not just doing like, oh, it is a murder thing. Look, to be fair, yes, I have covered a couple of stories that involve crimes that did exist rather than like fake like crimes or something. But I don't want people to think I'm a true crime channel, because then I'll just have middle class white women like fucking flocking to me like a bird.
Oh my god! To be fair, that's fine. They're all distracted by the Luigi Mangione stuff, so...
True. Thirsting. To be fair, did you hear he got fucking cheered by his cellmates?
Yeah.
In prison, he got cheered.
Oh my god, did you see the newscast where, because Luigi Mangione doesn't have access to a TV, but the people in the prison do, they turned onto the news channel, the local news channel that they knew all the prisoners would be watching, and started speaking and saying, if you can hear us, start cheering. And you can hear, because they're standing outside the prison, and then they hear cheers coming out of the prison because they're watching the news broadcast. And they start asking them questions about Luigi Mangione to shout through the window, if you know where he is and you can see, is he watching? No! It's very funny.
Oh, someone link me that. That's fucking incredible. Jesus, that's amazing. It scares the upper classes because they realise, oh, people are realising that maybe we're monumentally evil and the system we run isn't really a healthcare system at all. Oh no, you know.
What we're saying with the planning reforms we're introducing today to local areas is look at previously developed brownfield land in the first instance. If you can meet all of your housing targets through that previously developed land, then great. You don't have to even look at your green belt. But in situations where you can't meet your housing targets on brownfield land, we think it is right that you review your green belt and look to release the lowest performing, poorest quality land within that green belt, which we designate as grey belt land, which has, in many cases, limited public access, low ecological value, and that we think should be released where required. But really importantly, Kate, to come to your second part, what we are saying on any land released from the greenbelt for development is that golden rules have to apply. And the golden rules that we will ensure do apply will mean higher rates of affordable housing on these development sites, first-class infrastructure and amenities so that communities can thrive in the way you said, and access to nature. So from the land being released through the greenbelt, as a result of our plans, we are saying that their additional public benefit will be secured as a quid pro quo for developers coming forward and building out those sites.
What do you say to the Labour councils who have been telling you straight up that they simply cannot build that number of houses every year? It's just out of the question. Are you prepared to negotiate with them, or are you going to get really tough and force them to do what they say they can't?
Well, I've had council leaders across the country respond to the consultation and talk to me individually. In some cases, they take issue with the fact...
The NIMBYism, in terms of where the rubber hits the road, is the councils. The councils caving constantly to local pressure. Because, of course, they're elected, right? So if the local people threaten to not vote for you, you're going to do X, Y, and Z, right? It's the push and pull of politics. That's how it works.
Yeah.
But so ultimately, they're obviously going to say this because they want to appear to be protecting the local people. And the national government have to say, no, this is not okay. You need fucking houses in this area. They're going to get built.
Exactly. Like, things, every council has a planning committee made up of a subset of councils. I think there's supposed to be 7. Is it 7 on each planning committee for each council?
I'm not sure.
And the people who want to be part of the planning committee are the kind of fucking people who got elected off of the back of a campaign to oppose planning, to oppose giving the green light to new planning, right?
It's a negative self-selecting process, yeah.
Exactly. Which is why it's funny. Everyone gets mad at the Greens for blocking planning when in Bristol they don't even have a majority on the planning committee, and all of the things they keep getting mad at them for, more Green councillors who are on the planning committee than not voted in favour of building the new council houses. So it's really frustrating that this gets reported as being Green council blocks X. When I'm like, well, it's not the council that blocks it; it's the planning committee that blocks it.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. The Labour are as bad. The Tories are obviously way worse. Some of the shenanigans, some of the shenanigans that Tory councils put up to the HS2 building was just ridiculous. They were the epitome of they complain about so someone said there's a bat in a shed and therefore we can't build. It was Tory councils doing that. Your fucking councillors were doing that to try and stop their leafy suburbs having things built anywhere near them because it might take tuppence off your fucking house price.
Exactly. That was it. And the Lib Dems do it too, and you best bet that Reform UK councillors are going to do it as well.
Oh God, yeah.
And on top of that, the people in the area think it's not good enough, the amount of NIMBYism, so we'll elect these local fucking independent candidates who are even more NIMBY. There's nothing more NIMBY, right? You think that the fucking Tories and Lib Dems are bad at being NIMBYs in local councils. The independent groups, even more NIMBY. Crazy NIMBY. My mum is a planner. She has to deal with these people.
Amazing.
That we're increasing their housing targets by a few hundred homes. In other cases, the targets are more stretching. What we're saying to local leaders across the country is, come with us, share our ambition. If you want to work in good faith to get local plans in place that meet these new housing targets, we will support you. There was £46 million allocated in the budget to helping local planning departments in terms of capacity and capability. But when it comes to the small number of councils who are going to say to us, and there will be some, no, we're not going to come with you. We're not going to match their ambition. We refuse to bring forward sites to allow these homes to be built. We are willing to use the full range of ministerial intervention powers at our discretion. Because I come back to the central point of why we're doing this. We have an acute and entrenched housing crisis. It's blighting lives across the country. It's holding back our economy. The status quo is unsustainable, and we have to act, and act boldly, to turn things around. So we are saying to all council leaders across the country, it is a question of how and where the development goes, not whether it takes place at all.
We know that house prices in the market have doubled in very recent years. And
the problem I foresee is that Keir Starmer is literally the most spineless human being ever. And once he starts feeling pushback from the regions about these plans, whether he'll just fold and cave as always. That's the problem. Like, he's doing tough talk now, but this is sort of abstract in a sense. We're talking generally about we need to build stuff. What about when there's an actual plan to build a thing in an area?
The thing of though is that who is he more likely to capitulate to? Random local councillors who he's already said, he's already been shitty to internal Labour Party members already, right? Not that overriding them opposing planning is shitty, but you know what I mean. He's already rebuked people internally within the party. Like, is he going to be more likely to capitulate to Labour Party councillors or to private developing corporations? Like, I wonder which one of those two he's going to prioritise in this dispute.
Well, clearly he's a big fan of democracy, so... No, I'm only joking, obviously. Yeah. Oh, hang on. I didn't mean to do that.
we also know, therefore, that so many young people have no prospect of getting on the housing ladder, even with the help of the bank of mum and dad. Even that's not enough. How will any of this help young people get started?
Also, hang on a minute.
It's not the...
What I think I am sick of is the constant going on about, well, young people can't get onto the housing ladder. And of course, this is true. I'm not saying this is wrong. I don't think it's worth saying. But the issue that we actually have here is rent costs. The thing that's really fucking over young people is how much it costs to rent. And yet, the only sector of society who gets a look in the political discussion are young people who are from wealthy enough families that the current situation doesn't quite let them buy a house. Yeah. But actually, a lot of young people, they just need to be able to afford to be able to live now. And that involves bringing rents down, whether it's the council housing, rent controls, increased supply, the whole gamut of different tactics to get these things down. I'm in favour of all of them. But they never get a look in terms of the political discussion, because we're obsessed with home ownership as a concept. And whilst I think home ownership is a good thing, like I'm not saying I'm a homeowner myself, like I think we should expand these things. But the fact that the only metric that matters is, do young people get on the housing ladder rather than can they afford to live right now immediately whilst renting, is so fucking myopic.
Yeah. Did you say you were a homo? No.
Exactly. I'm both a homo and a nerd, it's true.
Very much so.
Only contributory factor, but one of the most important reasons why house prices have been outstripping average earnings for a long time and continue to look like they will do, is that we've simply not built enough homes of all tenures across the country over recent decades. And of course, if you don't build enough, the prices of those that exist will go up. So we need to build more homes. That's part of the solution. But we're also taking, as per our manifesto, some very targeted steps to help first-time buyers onto the ladder. First dibs for first-time buyers.
Very interesting when they go as per our manifesto, because of the two things in the manifesto that they might do. Everything else wasn't in the manifesto, but that's irrelevant, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
Areas and a new comprehensive and permanent mortgage guarantee scheme to help in particular those who might be able to afford mortgage repayments but don't necessarily have that bank of mum and dad, don't have that deposit in place to help them get on the housing ladder. So we are taking steps to help first-time buyers, but underpinning all of that has got to be building enough homes of all tenures across the country to meet housing need. And I think this is one of the central differences that is emerging between us and the Conservatives and some local leaders out there. We are absolutely determined as a government to ensure we've got a housing and planning system that is geared towards meeting housing need in full, and we're determined and willing to take all the steps necessary to ensure that's the case.
OK.
I mean, the IFS has said that the mortgage guarantee scheme needs higher earners for it to work, hasn't it?
We're looking at all the detail of how that scheme might work. There's already a scheme in place at the moment. It's not permanent. It's not as comprehensive as we'd like. But we are engaging and will continue to engage with the sector and all those who have views on how we best ensure that that scheme comes forward and helps the maximum number of first-time buyers it can.
OK. Finally, a personal question to finish with. Do you have sandwiches for lunch, Minister?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Did you see this discourse?
Yeah, Kemi Badenoch thinks that sandwiches are a fucking breakfast food.
That's the most insane thing I've ever heard.
She is honestly, she's not human. I don't know what she is.
Isn't.
She's not human. She's like some alien. Like the lizards in human suits that run the world are usually better at hiding it than her.
Oh my god, exactly, 100%. She's like the Slovene from that episode of Doctor Who, just pretending they know how humans work and doing really shitty impressions. Like, honestly...
Hello, fellow human. I enjoy a sandwich for my breakfast.
Like, bacon roll, okay, we can discuss bacon rolls as a sandwich item for breakfast, but anything else, any other sandwich, like, it's a lunch item. And then, you know what's even crazier than just, well, sandwiches are for breakfast, which is an opinion she shares with literally nobody in the country, apart from Lewis Goodall, apparently, because he's a middle-class media journo type, right? But on top of that, she said she doesn't have lunch. She doesn't have lunch. What the fuck? Who the fuck is this person? Like, this is not a real human.
No, it's not. It's not. Because she doesn't have lunch. What she does is she feasts on the blood of the innocent in the evening, and that sustains her for the 24-hour solar period.
True. I just like, how can you not like sandwiches? How can I don't get it. I just don't get it.
It's very weird. It's very weird. Anyone who doesn't like sandwiches shouldn't be Prime Minister. You fundamentally do not represent or understand the British people.
100%. Actually, that's a really good point in the chat as well. In that, not only did she say that she doesn't have lunch, she doesn't have sandwiches for lunch, but she also said, well, sometimes if I do have lunch, I'll have steak for lunch. What? You have steak for lunch?
What? And then curl up like a fucking like a snake who's eaten too much? How the fuck can you how can you be productive in the middle of the day having just had a steak?
It's Jordan Peterson stuff, isn't it? You beef and salt. That's that's what she eats. Is she going to the Jordan Peterson diet? It also, again, just shows how disconnected she is from everybody. Well, I worked at McDonald's. I'm working class. Fuck off, mate. You are married to an incredibly rich banker, so much so that you refuse to take maternity pay because it doesn't matter because you are rich enough already. And you're out here saying, well, I can afford to go and have steak for lunch. No, we're going to fucking top it with caviar. We're going to shred some truffle on it as well, right?
True.
Reverse sear and then kind of, reverse sear it in bone marrow, a la Guga Foods. Just have this incredibly expansive lunch that nobody else in the country could theoretically afford. Like, you're trying to be Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and you're out here disparaging sandwiches and claiming that you eat steak for fucking lunch, like you're a notorious foodie. What the hell? What the hell is this?
She's a very weird creature. Very much so.
Again, I mean, we should have known this, that she was just not a normal human being when she launched her campaign for leader while saying that she wasn't going to be afraid of Doctor Who. I'm just like, honestly, how can someone be more out of touch? The latest poll today came out, showed the Tories in third place, behind Reform. I think this metric will continue. I really do. Like, what do the Tories offer anybody in this country? They offer nothing.
Yeah.
They offer nothing. Their voter base is dying, and Reform UK are on the ascendancy, and have somebody who, despite the fact that he is a monster who has nothing in common with the country, at least speaks a language that the country understands. Kemi Badenoch, not a fucking clue. She lives in a different... Because they both live in different realities, but Kemi hasn't realised that you actually have to pretend to look like you're normal and look like that you share a life with people on the bottom, and which Nigel Farage does do, and she just doesn't do. It's insane.
Shaman in the YouTube chat, let them eat steak.
True.
It's so
Kemi Badenoch's answer to the cost of living crisis.
Let them eat steak. That is very good. Honestly, if you want me to, I will happily suck you dry. I'm just saying.
I did have a sandwich yesterday, Richard.
Okay.
Yes. I'm not sure about today. It's looking busy.
I wonder what you thought of Kemi Badenoch. She's declared war on sandwiches. She says that sandwiches at lunchtime are for wimps.
I'm not sure that's going to be...
I've declared war on sandwiches is the I don't know what the fuck kind of messaging that is. I just imagine the Tory MPs behind the scenes just melting down. Because this is poison. Look, it sounds like it shouldn't be an issue because it's sandwiches. Who gives a fuck? Like, my opinion of what the Prime Minister eats is I don't give a fuck. Look, I don't care. As long as they're doing a good job, they can eat fucking... They can eat caviar. I don't give a fuck, really. It doesn't really matter. The point is, you have to appear like a normal person in public. And this is the worst. Like, just the optics of it are absolutely rancid.
It's so bad. It's so bad. And also, let's be real, right? She said that one of the things she didn't like about a sandwich is that it gives you soggy bread. And I'm like, bitch, you worked in food service. You literally worked in food service. You brag about how working class your background is because you worked in food service. If your sandwiches end up with soggy bread, you are making your sandwiches wrong.
Yeah, what the fuck? What is she serving? Ice cubes? What are you talking about? You get soggy bread? What?
Like, you put the meat on one end, you put the cheese on the other, and the salad in the middle. So there are barriers between the absorbent bread and the items that you're putting in your sandwich that have a level of water content that might make the bread soggy. Cheese and meat act as the fucking barrier.
You're starting to sound a little bit Partridge now. Use the beans as a water. Use the sausages as a water break. I might want to mix them, but I want to be the one to make that decision. Like it's a bit Partridge now. Just
tell me I'm wrong though.
No, you're not incorrect. You're not incorrect, but neither was Partridge. It's just unnecessary.
But I mean, again, you of course with regular people, whatever, right? But I'm critiquing very specifically her career in food service. That if you're working in food service, you should know full well how to construct a sandwich to avoid the kind of bread that you don't think is nice. Like also like, can we just? I think we feel like we missed something where she said sandwiches are for wimps. What's wimpy about sandwich consumption? I don't get the link there at all. What the fuck is she saying?
It's like the worst kind of toxic masculinity. It's one of my favourite little sports on the internet of finding the most absurd shit that they'll say is unmanly, right? So, like, literally, I've heard them say eating pussy makes you gay. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? What the fuck does that possibly mean?
Sorry,
Ridiculous.
Someone just said, knowing Camille, knowing you. I think it's a great joke.
Yes. Oh,
exactly. It's just crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
So, yeah, sandwiches, gay.
Also, thank you, SK the Crusader, for the raid. That was 6 minutes ago, and we've been ranting about Kemi Badenoch for 6 minutes. I just want to thank you, SK, for raiding in. Welcome in everybody in chat. Please go and follow SK the Crusader over on Twitch and on YouTube. I highly recommend the videos about Jonathan Ashworth being funny and the 3-hour-long epic Unmasking the Real Keir Starmer. If you're just joining in from the raid, welcome. I'm No Justice MTG. We talk about UK politics from a socialist perspective 6 days a week. If that sounds like your thing, please drop a follow. And I'm here with Kevin Logan, Logan1875 over on Twitch as well, who you should also follow for socialist content.
Love it. What's up? Everyone go and follow SK the Crusader. It's a good egg.
True.
Particularly popular with the British public, isn't it? I think most people enjoy a sandwich most days. I don't know what I'm doing today. I've got to make a statement in the House of Commons later. But no problem with sandwiches on the part of the Labour Party.
All right. Thanks very much.
Pro sandwich. Look, a policy I'm absolutely going to say. Look, when they're right, they're right. The Labour Party have got the right take on sandwiches.
I mean, it feels like Kemi Badenoch is doing everything that she possibly can to make herself totally unelectable. Like, did you hear today her and Mel Stride say that they think that we shouldn't have the triple lock and that it's quote-unquote unaffordable, whilst also saying we shouldn't have maternity pay and also saying a bunch of shit about all the fucking private schools and getting on the farmers. Like, again, like, she cooked. She totally cooked.
If you get rid of the triple lock, like the literally Tory party, I don't want to do your job for you or help you in any way, but I feel like it's just incumbent on me to say the only people voting for you are pensioners.
Yep.
If you get rid of the triple lock on pensions, you've literally lost the only demographic who give you the time of day. You're literally fucking dead at that point. Which, by all means, like, I thought you'd go gracelessly into that quiet night, but no, it appears you're going to happily skip, jump, and swan dive into the chasm of nothingness. Brilliant.
It's true.
Go for it.
Again, 100%. I genuinely believe that Reform UK will get more votes at the next election than the Conservative Party.
Very possibly. Although, bizarrely, they'll probably still end up with fewer seats because first past the post. Yay! Democracy!
Woo. Sounds like an excellent result for the country, because that probably means that neither of them will be in government.
Yeah, there'll probably be some sort of horrific hung parliament situation.
I think, yeah, but it's a long way away, so we can't speculate. But either way,
what do we think?
What
do we think of the potential for a new party? Corbyn looks like he's setting up a new thing early next year.
Oh, what the pro-incest party? I don't think it's got legs.
No, it's a little bit weird.
But it's also just like, let's be real. A lot of these MPs from the independents, whilst I'm very glad they ousted Labour MPs, and I'm glad that they stood up for Palestinians and for Gaza, they're not socialists.
No.
They're just not socialists.
No,
you know?
not at all.
3 out of 4 of them voted against the increase on taxes on private schools. Like, I'm sorry, this is an ideological red line for me. I'm not going to vote for you if you do that.
Yeah, that's fair. But, you know, I suppose he has to try and do something, maybe. I don't know. We'll wait and see.
I feel like it's going to split the left vote. Like, it seems like a hide into nothing to me. But we'll see. You know, whatever will be. Que sera.
True.
Right. Anyway, YouTube viewers.
Yes.
We're going to have to love you and leave you.
True. So if you're on YouTube, hello YouTube. I'm going to post a link in my chat. I presume you will have already have been doing this because you're way ahead of me on this. Post the link in the old chatty chat. Come over to Twitch, our relative Twitches, to continue watching, because we get copyright cooked for daring to show a thing that we already fucking pay for via the TV license, for God's sake.
So yeah, please click the link I've posted in YouTube chat. Come over and watch us on the Twitch arenas, where we're going to be enjoying some question time with, honestly, the most cursed panel I think I've ever seen.
It's pretty bad. Following on from last week's, which had Nigel Farage on it, they really had to go some to up the level of demonic mutant evil.
Not just Farage, Alistair Campbell on it as well.
Yeah, and they've somehow managed to make it worse. How?
Yeah, honestly,
we'll wait and see. Anyway, everyone, I'm going to give you a little 5-second countdown, and I'm going to shut off the YouTube. So come over to the Twitch. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Free Palestine.